Well, where are we? Well, this should give us a clue. It's the blue plaque of the birthplace of Peter Sellers. Yes, we're in Southsea today. And here we are on Southsea Common. Look at this wide space of grass with the occasional dotted tree. Very nice little place for people to hang out on a nice hot summer's day as this. And here we are at Southsea Castle, right at the southern tip of Portsea Island. If we pan around here, we can see the D-Day Museum and a selection of tanks and things. And according to little thing it says over there, that's a 3.7-inch anti-aircraft gun. They can't fool me. That's taller than 3.7 inches. Ha! Well, here we are, sitting on the sort of eastern edge of the Eastern Battery. There's a 19th century fortification built to the east of Southsea Castle. It's a huge artificial mound with the gun emplacements in it. And here we can look down on the sort of eastern end of Southsea seafront, and there we can see the pier, and on the left we can see the pyramid centre, which is sort of big sort of swimming pool area. And if we look way off in the distance, we can see France. No, we can't. It's Battleship Bay and Southsea. And from this vantage point we can look out at the sea forts built in the 19th century as part of Lord Palmerston's plan to defend Britain against the French. Here is another one. Here's another one we can see way in the distance. And here we have Spitsand Fort, which is the closest fort to Portsea Island. Now here's a bit of novelty. We have ourselves a submarine coming up the Spithead, heading towards Portsmouth Harbour. It's not every day you see one of these. And this is Castle Field. We've just got a biplane flying overhead, but I won't show you that. It's a place where people sort of have sort of entertainment, sort of little sort of shows and things in this little area here. And it's called Castle Field because that's Southsea Castle there. And here's Southsea Castle, its entranceway. You can see the large square keep behind, and the lighthouse that is a more recent addition. Here we have another view of Spitsand Fort, with showing you a little bit more detail than the last time. And here we're looking down on Southsea Common. There's some sort of bowling greens there and tennis courts. If we pan around, we can see this huge expanse of grassland that separates the main part of Southsea with the seafront. Now, most seaside resorts actually have the hotels bang behind the beach, but not here. And why is that? Well, the reason why is, well, when they built Southsea Castle, they decided that for military purposes, nothing of any solid construction would be built between the castle and the town defences, which are way in the distance there. Partly dismantled, some of it's still there. But that's the reason why, over the centuries, nothing was allowed to be built here, and that has allowed this large area of grassland to remain here. Also, during one period of time, there's a large sort of marsh in the middle called the Great Morass. That's now long been drained. But now there's an area that people can enjoy as a form of recreation, and also an area where various things like circuses and shows can be staged. Here we have an obelisk. You get lots of monuments like this on the Southsea seafront, and this one's commemorating sailors who died during the Crimean War. And here we have a magnificent Royal Naval Memorial commemorating those who fell in the Navy during the First and Second World War. And here we have Clarence Pier, which is the sort of amusement area with fun fairs and rides and such. Not really my cup of tea, but I'm sure that most people who come down to the seaside want something like this, and so here it is. Well, down here in Southsea we get a lot of shipping movements. Here we see a ferry heading off to the Isle of Wight, and in the distance there another ferry returning from the Isle of Wight. And as we look round, we can see a slightly larger ferry heading into port. It's one of the Channel ferries that comes over from France and goes back to France. And there goes the Isle of Wight hovercraft. Here we are now looking at the last remnants of Portsmouth's town defences as they were many centuries ago. This here is called the King's Bastion, and this stretch of water is called the Long Curtain. Originally, a defensive structure like this went all the way around the old town of Portsmouth, but with the town expanding and these defences becoming, well, redundant, most were removed. Here, where we have this raised causeway, we have the remains of what was known as Spur Redoubt, which was a stone and earth outwork in front of the main defences that could provide firing cover to areas that the main defences couldn't cover. We can see at the rear of this triangular structure we've got a bridge, which is not the original, that takes the soldiers backwards and forwards to the main defences over there. Well, here's the Spur Redoubt in all its glory. Until the 1980s, well, in recent times, it was virtually forgotten about. It was covered over with a car park, and then it was excavated to reveal this sort of significant defensive structure. From the vantage point here on top of the King's Bastion, we can look all the way around Southsea Common. We can look back towards Southsea Castle there in the distance, and here we have Clarence Pier, and here down we've got the Long Curtain and a view of the Isle of Wight and all the shipping that's going on. We can look back, and there's the Isle of Wight ferry along the Long Curtain towards the entrance of Portsmouth Harbour, and behind us Garrison Church, Portsmouth, the Cathedral and the Spinnaker Tower, and modern developments there in the distance. And here we have a muzzle loading cannon, reminder of how important this defensive structure here was in times gone past. Here we have the fortifications on the right here that line the Portsmouth side of the entrance to Portsmouth Harbour. These defences are fairly ancient, go back many hundreds of years. The nearest is the Square Tower. In the distance we have the Hot Walls, and beyond that, we can't really see it, is the Round Tower. Here we are at the entrance to Portsmouth Harbour, and there we can see the Round Tower, which was the oldest defences from the sea. And in the distance we can see one of the sea forts, which was the most latest defences built against sea attack. Well, this is Quebec House, which is the old custom house in downtown Old Portsmouth, and we can scan around and we can see, well, the sort of the feel of Portsmouth when it was way back in the 18th and 17th centuries, not forgetting the 19th too. And here we have the old and the new Portsmouth, the old houses and pubs of Old Portsmouth, and behind it the Spinnaker Tower. And inside Portsmouth Harbour we have, together, side by side, historic dockyard on the left, and the new development of Gun Wharf Quays on the right, and in the centre the Spinnaker Tower. And here's Portsmouth Cathedral. Not exactly the largest cathedral you've ever seen in the world, but what's rather remarkable is the fact that we've only just finished it rather recently. It's probably been basically the cathedral that's taken the longest to build in Britain.